Hey everyone, and a very warm welcome to YouTube. Really appreciate you being here. First of all, please do subscribe, like the video, stick around. That kind of support is really appreciated. I caught up with WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Chris Billam-Smith, this week to talk about boxing. He's got this big fight coming up against Richard Riakporhe, who calls himself the Midnight Train. He's from London. His record is just here. Incredible fighter, really, really exciting. Powerful puncher, and another big test for Chris Billam-Smith. But first of all, I had to ask Chris about his recent fight with Mateusz Masternak. Masternak ended up breaking a rib in the 8th round due to Chris's punching, and Chris came through with the win in the end, and I had to catch up with him to find out about how he's been getting on and how he can reflect on that fight.
I was fortunate enough to be in the dressing room with you after your fight versus Mateusz Masternak. You seemed very relieved, maybe a tiny bit disappointed at how the performance went at the time. But how have you been able to reflect on that fight now, about 3 months on from it?
Yeah, to be honest, it was very difficult to, I don't know, mindset-wise in that fight. Obviously, I've come off the back of Lawrence fight and achieved my wildest dreams of winning a world title at Dean Court, and then going into a fight against a guy who I knew was going to be difficult, and I was, but everyone's just expecting you to wipe the floor with him because you've won a world title and you've beaten the champion. But I knew how difficult he's going to be, and tried telling people in the build-up, and then on the night he'd be proved to be difficult. But my style was to walk people down, and I know a lot of people can't live with that, and I was just starting to have success in round 6 and 7. And then obviously he pulled out right at the beginning of the 8th round. But I think I'm not pleased with the performance, but I'm not as disheartened as maybe I was on the night. I did the best job on Masternak than anyone's done in a below par performance, which for me says I'm doing something right at least. So I think just we can expect more from me moving forward. And yeah, it's a very good win, a very good name to have on my record.
Absolutely. And how's camp going for you at the moment? As you're, cut, healed, all okay from that came from that night, and you feeling good in camp at the moment?
Yeah, I've been in camp for about probably 6 weeks properly, but even a few weeks before then as well. From the start of the year, really, I've been training, and then I've sparred. The cup's all good, so yeah, we're looking to get a date finalised in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. I think we're looking at June most likely, but I'm looking forward to it and just getting that fight signed, and looking forward to the build up and everything that comes with it. I think it'll be good fun.
I mean, the build up's kind of started already. I mean, we've seen that you two have been. You were at the Buatsi Aziz fight, and you guys, you and Riakporhe having a little bit of back and forth. There's been some back and forth on Twitter. Is he a Crystal Palace fan? Is he a Millwall fan? You certainly think he's a Millwall fan. But
I've got the pictures to prove it.
We need to see it at some point, I'm sure. But are we still confident this fight, 100% is the one that's going to be taking place? Because Ben Shalom seemed quite confident that it would be announced a while ago, but we've still not had any kind of official announcement. Obviously share as much as you can, but has there been a bit of hold up in this at all? Or
yeah, I think the dates have been pushed around. I think it comes down to scheduling and other fights happening and stuff like that. So I mean, we've had dates as early as April the 6th to as late as end of June. So we've been back and forth, and the fights, I mean, as far as I know, it's 100% happening. It's happening on my part. I'm sure Richard's in training and knows it's going to happen. So it's just the next few weeks. I think we'll hopefully get it finally sorted out, and get it finalised and signed, and posters and press conference, etc., all done. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And is there any talk about where it could be? Because there were suggestions of Selhurst Park. Of course, you're the world champion. I'm sure you'll want it to be in Bournemouth. Vitality Stadium, Bournemouth International Centre. Is there a certain place that it feels like it's going to be at?
I think it's likely to be in London somewhere, to be honest, because I think the only venue we can do back home is the stadium. And I think the only weekend the stadium would be able to do doesn't work for Sky and the promotions and stuff. So I think most likely it'll be London due to the size of the venue. The Vic's just too small, which is crazy to say that the Vic's too small for one of my fights. I'm very fortunate to have such a great fan base, but hopefully it'll be in London in June, and we'll bring up. I'll be putting on plenty of coaches and transport for people. Don't worry about that, and yeah, they can come up and have a good weekend away.
O2 Arena, Selhurst Park, is there?
Yeah, I mean, they O2 and Wembley got mentioned to me last time. I think Selhurst got mentioned, but I think there would have to be another fight on that show, another big fight, which I don't think is going to happen on the same date as ours. So I'm not sure how that would work. But yeah, I'd like it to be at the O2 because that's where we boxed last time. So it'd be nice to get my revenge in that venue. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens, and I just need to focus on getting in the ring and what happens in the ring. And I know the fans will turn up, and wherever it is, my fans will. We've been very lucky to have 4 fights in the last couple of years down in Bournemouth. So if we get an away day, and if it would be out of season, I'm sure people will travel. They've been fantastic to me, obviously back home so far. So a nice little away day.
And the prospect of fighting, quote unquote, away from home doesn't phase you at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's been very. I've been very fortunate to fight at home, and I love fighting at home, and I would always choose that over anywhere else. But I've also done 4 back-to-back when I was waiting for years and years just to do one down there. I obviously boxed at the stadium and won my world title there. So until they build a new stadium, then I think we might have to move away from there for now. And then it doesn't bother me at all. I box away a lot. I box on away shows. I boxed for Liverpool in Liverpool for the Commonwealth title. I've never been shy of going away. So I think this time though, now we've built the fan base back home. There'll be a lot more travelling support.
Sure. I wanted to ask you, Chris, as well, because there's been some incredible nights down in Bournemouth. Because you've always said about, you fight because, for atmosphere, these kind of fights, the occasion, the atmosphere you get on the nights is almost what you live for when you box. I just wanted to get your opinion on, these big fights out in Saudi Arabia and, a very different atmosphere to, what you might consider over here. What's your take and opinion on what, some of the atmospheres have been like out in Saudi so far for these big fights?
I mean, it's always difficult to tell on TV, but from what I've heard, they weren't great, but apparently they're getting a lot better out there. I don't think anything's gonna beat Bournemouth, but yeah, I mean, I think the only reason people are going there is for money, and it's a very short and hard career, so you can't fault the boxers for doing that. For money to secure their family, they work very hard, and fighters getting paid more money is always a good thing, because I know what goes into the sport, and I know how many people don't make money out of the sport. I've seen it firsthand. So it's always nice, to see fighters getting paid. But I think, that's the sole reason that people are going out there, for, really they're putting on big fights as well, the opponents, but no one's going to be taking the sort of risks or flying out to Saudi Arabia for anything less than a lot more than what they're getting used to getting paid. So I think that's sort of just the way it works. And I'm sure back in the day, it's what happened with Vegas. I'm sure that once upon a time that was, why are people going there? So who knows? Saudi might end up being the fight capital one day. But yeah, who knows?
Sure. And just a few more, Chris. I wanted to ask about Lawrence Okoli. He's made the move up to Bridgerweight and looks like long term he's going to be fighting in the heavyweight division. I know you guys had a rematch kind of signed, and he was keen to do a rematch straight after the fight. But obviously with this news, I'm sure that will all just be, voided and it won't happen. But what's your take on Lawrence Okoli, and what do you think the future holds for him?
he was always massive for the weight. He used to balloon up in outside of camps. I actually thought the fight with me was almost one of the worries because he had a fight so quick beforehand and he wouldn't have ballooned up. So he would have probably made weight fairly easy for our fight. But yeah, look, he's a big lad. He'll be fine in that weight division, in Bridgerweight, and then eventually heavyweight. That was always his plan. And he, I always thought that probably would have been sooner than, before we boxed each other. But obviously what happened. And then, yeah, I wish him all the best. I know he's got a young family now himself. But yeah, I wish him all the best, and I hope he goes out to Poland, does the business out there, picks up that belt, and whatever he wants to do from there, whether that's heavyweight straight away or stay at Bridgerweight for a bit. I wish him all the best.
And what's your immediate future, do you think, looking like now? So obviously you've got this Richard Riakporhe fight. Could you see maybe a rematch after this next one? And then maybe, I know Riakporhe said he wants the WO belt as well. What do you think the kind of shorter to midterm future kind of looks like for you?
I think obviously after Richard there won't be a rematch because we've got it's a mandatory challenger, so there's no rematch clause in place. I'll be looking at unification for sure. Riakporhe is fighting Meredith Breedis for the vacant IBF now because they stripped him. And then Breedis used to have the IBF belt. And then got Arthur Gulamirian, who's fighting this weekend against Zerda Ramirez. Gilberto Ramirez out in the States. And I mean, I'd love to get a unification out in the States. That would be amazing after this one. But I think that would depend if Ramirez wins or not. Then obviously got Noel McCallion, who's the WBC champion. So yeah, the plans to get rid of Richard and then move on to unification.
Little chat to Bill Foley, see if he can get something sorted over in Vegas, maybe for a unification fight.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's go fight on the ice rink.
On the ice rink. Brilliant, Chris.
Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate you being around. Please feel free to subscribe. Really appreciate any support on the channel. And if you're not already, then follow me on Twitter at Dan George with 2 E's. Take care.